back and welcome to a video where I'm talking about authors I gave a second shot. These are authors that I've either read something I've loved from and then found something that I didn't love, or the other way around, and I wanted to talk about my hits and misses. The first one on this list is TJ Klune, and I've raved about this series pretty much in every video this year because the third book in the series came out as a re-release, and that is the Green Creek series. Wolfsong is the first book. While I love and adore this series with my whole entire heart, I also tried some of TJ Klune's other stuff. It just hasn't hit me in the realms of where I'm interested. So Wolfsong is an urban fantasy. So it's about Ox. His father leaves at a very young age and he is almost adopted by the family across the road, him and his mother. They're given the support from the Bennett family. The Bennett family though are werewolves, and there's a lot of world building tied into the town of Green Creek and how the land holds power, and there is magic and such defined relationships between these characters. There is a male-male romance in here as well, and it was just so good. I've reread this and it just made me cry at all the same parts that I did on the first time through. So it clearly pierces my heart, but I tried Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune and I recommended this in my best standalone reads. And so I did like it. It's about a guy who's a lawyer and he's not a good person at all. And at the beginning of the book, he dies and he realizes that he's actually dead when he's sitting at his own funeral, and a reaper comes and collects him and takes him to this almost halfway house where he has to be in limbo, and then in a week's time he will accept that he is dead and then cross over, and to aid that crossing over is the person who owns the tea house. So it's also a loose male-male romance as well, and I liked seeing his character come undone in the sense that he was so tightly wound and now he's trying to, I guess, make amends for his life within 7 days and recognize who he actually is and what is important in life. So I like those themes about it. I just disliked the main character, and I think if I wasn't listening to the audiobook I would have just completely unhauled the book straight away. It was hard to start. So because of that, I'm like, I wasn't really super invested in it, but I listened to it and liked it enough. And as a standalone book, I think it's a decent read. It doesn't take too long, which is why I'm recommending it in my best standalone reads. The other book that I've tried to read by TJ Klune, which a lot of people will probably cringe that I don't like this book, is The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I feel is where TJ Klune got a lot of his hype from, because it's a cozy fantasy about this guy going to, I think, almost like not an orphanage, but maybe a house that doubles as an orphanage, and it takes in all of these kids who just don't have anywhere else to go, that are almost like the oddballs. So it takes the underdogs and the oddballs, it forms a found family, and then it has these two mentor characters that are butting heads but then obviously find an equilibrium. And on paper it sounds like something that I would absolutely love, but just in style I didn't like it, and the writing tone was just not for me. So unfortunately, the cozy fantasy that TJ Klune has written did not end up reading it. I put it down very early on. Under the Whispering Door was okay, but then Wolfsong, new favorite. It was my favorite of last year, and that's a really big jump to me. And it's made me think, oh, okay, if I don't like something from an author, maybe wait a while and then try something else they've written, because it could be quite stylistically different, and this feels very different to his other works. So I'm very, very glad that I listened to my friend's recommendation and finally picked this up, because I just love it so much. Then I tried a queer romance author, and that is Alison Cochrane. She wrote The Charm Offensive, which is a male-male romance about a reality TV show and contestants and the style and producer behind the scenes. So I think one of the contestants falls for a producer, and it's about their under the surface romance that is starting to bloom. It also features a lot of mental health, and I just hate that reality TV storyline. I don't like my main plot points, especially in a romance, to be in front of everyone else. And because of the nature of this being almost voyeuristic, because it's a reality TV show, some of the major things happened between the characters that were supposed to be quite intimate in front of everyone else. And honestly, that just gave me such secondhand embarrassment. Like, that is my nightmare. I don't want people to witness me having all these feelings. I would rather have them privately with my partner or a friend that I'm trusted in that moment to have them with. Anyway, the reality TV is just not my thing. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll like a book by Alison Cochrane that doesn't have reality TV in it. And I picked up Kiss Her Once for Me, which I've got a very small separate review for if you're interested. And this book is an almost Christmassy romance between these two women, and one of them forms a fake dating relationship with this guy, and it turns out that when she goes back to his family home for Christmas, the sister of this guy is who she's previously had a romance with and then completely lost touch with, not because she wanted to lose touch with her. So she's like, do I pursue the fake relationship because I need the money, or do I actually take a risk and pursue something real? So I liked it more than The Charm Offensive, but again, the plot points happened in front of other characters, and I see why, because it was, you know, the family Christmas, it was a fake relationship and a real one, and so things kind of naturally happen with involving that family, but I still just don't like that presenting nature of it. I don't like other characters weighing in when there is an emotionally charged moment that should just be our focus characters. So I don't know if that's going to be an ongoing theme with Alison Cochrane's work, and I also find that with Alison's books, at the very end, usually the characters diverge very far from each other and then come back to each other, because obviously it's a happy ending, so they're going to end up together, but I just don't like the formula of her books. So I think I'm not going to try anything else by her, at least not now. Maybe far down the future. I don't know what other books have been released by Alison Cochrane, but yeah, I tried things. I still feel a little bit of trepidation. So I think I'm putting Alison Cochrane on pause for now. Then I've got one of my favorite authors, and that is Brandon Sanderson. And I love Mistborn, The Final Empire, and also the Stormlight Archive, Oathbringers, the third book. I love his main Cosmere stories that are interconnected very loosely, but I don't know what it is. I read all of his Kickstarter books, like all 4 of his secret projects that released during 2023. And I backed the Kickstarter for that as well. I was so excited about them, but I just I did not connect with them. I didn't like them. And I've got a review for each book, so I'll link that in the description if you want more thoughts specific to those books that obviously are non-spoiler. But I just did not like the tone of them compared to the way he's written his more longer series. His series feel more grounded, and those books felt like experiments, and I just did not like the tropes as well that he was playing with. So that was definitely a key factor in me not liking them as much. And it's really made me learn my lesson with an author like Sanderson, because he's basically his own empire now. He's going to be writing a lot, and he does churn out a book so frequently. He's just recently announced a new Cosmere book, so I'm not even kidding. He releases something all the time. So I feel like when I'm looking at all of his work, especially someone with as much work as he has, there are definitely going to be misses. Like, not all of them can be hits, and I think that's important to remember. I've also just recently put down the Skyward series. I'm not reading the last book, which I talked about in my anti-TBR video. I just need to measure my expectations and look at what series and what books he's got and what they're about. And I think that will help me make up my mind. As it stands, I really want to do a reread of the Stormlight Archive. So I think I might just revisit my old favorites in his catalogue at the moment, and then just stay in that safe space for a while, I think, because I feel like the Kickstarters have very much burned me. If you feel the same, let me know, because I feel like I'm on a bit of an island with that kind of opinion. Then last year, I found one of my favorite new post-apocalyptic books, and I've really struggled to find more favorites. I've read like 3 in February, or tried to read, and then put all of them down. But the one that I absolutely loved lately was A Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, and she tends to write such fantastic, dark, gritty, post-apocalyptic books that are very deeply rooted in hope and bodily autonomy, and that's why this book was so gruesome but also so hard-hitting, because it had such an element of hope thread through the whole thing. And I just love this so much. And then I was like, oh, she's got a whole bunch of other stuff, but I've also heard that it's very weird, and I don't really gel with weird books. But I was like, well, this one's at my library. And so I tried Dawn by Octavia E. Butler, because I thought it was like a first contact with aliens story, aliens coming to Earth, post-apocalyptic survival. No, it's more about aliens who have abducted people and Earth is destroyed, and now these people are like almost the pets or the experiments for the aliens. It's very dark, and I just did not like, I just did not like it. I gave it 2 stars. It even got into my worst books of last year. So from my favorites to then having my worst, that's a bit of a jump. And I'm like, oh, that makes me distrust the rest of her books in the sense of my enjoyment. I'm sure they're great books, but I just don't think personally that would be for me, because I watch a lot of videos from Books with Emily Fox, and she has just finished reading all of Octavia E. Butler's catalogue. And from her reviews, because our reading taste can be quite similar. I'm like, I think I'm only going to like this book because I didn't like the sequel to this book. So I'm treating this as a standalone, which does work. And I'm like, that just doesn't exist. So I think this is my standout from Octavia E. Butler, and I need to let sleeping dogs lie. Like, that is it. I found it. I need to move on. Then I've got another fantasy author, and I love The Greatcoats so much by Sebastian de Castell. And I loved the Spellslinger series as well. I tried the Argosy books, which are the prequel series to the Spellslinger books, and I liked the first two, but found the third one like okay, which I talked about in my February wrap up. And that's made me really suspicious because I've previously read The Malevolent Seven, and my review of it initially goes from 4 stars, and now I've revised it to probably like a 2.5 to 3 stars. I think I was caught up in the hype of it and what I wanted it to be when I filmed that review, because I filmed it too close to me reading it, and that's definitely a lesson I've taken on going forward. I kind of let myself have a bit of breathing room before I write any of my reviews now. But that still brings me to the point where I'm like, I have loved his stuff before, and this feels like an echo of it. Like he's trying to emulate some kind of voice, but it feels like still a work in progress. It's like he's sorting himself out first, and he has had a lot of shifting releases lately. So I'm like, is it just because he's busy and a bit scattered maybe, and that's why these books aren't landing with me? Or is it because of the subject matter and the style of these books, and that is what I don't like about them? It's really hard to work out why I don't like something sometimes. I don't know if that's relatable or not. Maybe sometimes it's just my mood reader brain, but maybe also sometimes it's the actual book. Anyway, I've got Crucible of Chaos, which is his release that I think came out this year. It's a spin-off of the Greatcoats series, and I love the Greatcoats, so I thought, oh, I'm gonna love this. But then after not loving this as much, now I am scared. And so this has sat on my to be read cart for a little while, and I do only have like 5 physical books left to read on my to be read cart, but this is like the most intimidating to me because am I gonna like it? It's not super long, so at least that's something in its favor, but based on my rising success and also my plummeting failure with this author's work, I'm like, oh, is this gonna be another 3 stars? I'm really scared. If you've read it, let me know, because I need to know if it's good or not. This next author is a graphic novel author, and they wrote the Tea Dragon Society, which I just love. It's a cozy fantasy that's just beautiful, but they also wrote The Moth Keeper. I just enjoyed The Moth Keeper. It felt like it could have been a little bit tighter, and the Tea Dragon Society just felt like it had so much bursting lore and character, and I think I connected mostly to the character on top of all of this world building. Whereas The Moth Keeper, fantastic world building, but I just could not connect to the characters. So it felt like I was just being taken along the surface of the story rather than being able to dive into it. And I could fully dive into this one. So I've unhauled Moth Keeper, which is, you know, unfortunate, but at least I tried it and I know that I've got a favorite. So I don't know if Kay O'Neill is writing any more graphic novels, but I'd be interested in seeing what they publish next and whether it's up my alley or not. You know, the Tea Dragon Society was so cute. So I'm like, I want more from them, but oh, is it going to hit not the same as the Tea Dragon Society? Because I'm not looking for a 2.0, but I'm looking for something that is deeply rich in its lore and world building and also able to pull me in with its characters. So I'll cross my fingers for Kay O'Neill. I've now only got 2 authors left to talk about, and one of them is Alice Oseman, and she wrote the Heartstopper series. Now, I am obsessed with Heartstopper. I am sure you've figured that out by now. But when I read her young adult novels, I wasn't on board with them. I think I read Radio Silence in its entirety. I don't remember, I think maybe Solitaire as well I read in its entirety, and then I ended up putting down I Was Born for This and Loveless. So I just felt like the style of them was for someone much younger than me, because I'm not a teenager anymore. And that could be said about Heartstopper, and I don't know why, but I've somehow connected more to this than to Alice Oseman's books. And I think it might be part of the visual element, because I do love a good graphic novel and I like the humor in this as well, and the layout of this is really just able to suck me in. So I don't know why I've managed to read this when also it's aimed for the same audiences as the books that Alice writes, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I love this, and I am very much keenly invested in this series. So I'm looking forward to the final volume coming out with anticipation and also dread, because I don't want this series to be over. But if Alice writes any more comics, I am down for that. And then lastly, this might be a bit controversial to the fans of this author, but I'm gonna say Jim Butcher. And I say Jim Butcher because I'm obsessed with the Dresden Files but I tried some of his other books and I just did not like them at all. So I tried The Aeronauts Windlass, which is like a steampunk fantasy, and then I also tried The Furies of Calderon, which is like a fantasy. And it feels like to me the Dresden Files work so well because it is just following Dresden as the focal point character, whereas the other series that I tried by him follow multitudes. And it feels like because we could get just Dresden's view, it made Jim Butcher excel at writing him and being able to put all his focus into Dresden. So I think that's why I love the Dresden Files. Although, you know, I do have little gripes with it here and there, I still overall love that series, and I'm currently rereading it and chatting about it every time I finish my reread of a book. So I'm just enjoying the Dresden Files so much, and again, so much on my reread. But the others I put down, I didn't actually finish because just like the tone of the book, the writing style, and the characters were just grating on me. Could not get into it, felt impenetrable. So unfortunately, the rest of his catalogue is a nope, but the Dresden Files, so good. So that's it. Those are all of the authors, at least at the moment, that I've had hits and misses with. Let me know if you have any down below. I would be interested in seeing which ones are successes for you and which ones aren't. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.